got the left arm going, and now he's got a whole lot of Adam Carriker rips him down inside the 25-yard line.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome to Adam Carriker on The Ticket here on 93.7 The Ticket. I am Jake Bachman along with Derrick Pearson, and we are efforting to get Adam Carriker in as well. As I know that is the voice you guys have tuned in to hear, but we will, we're, like I said, efforting get through some technological bugs here as we get through it. But it is an exciting day, for one way or the other, here on Adam Carriker on The Ticket, because it is Tuesday, which means Derrick Pearson is brought in to talk some WWE as well as Nebraska football. We'll, of course, wait see what Adam has in store for us once he joins us here. Myself, Jake Bachman, here sitting in along with Derrick Pearson. We could start with some WWE talk and some Nebraska football talk. We just got through a lot of Nebraska football talk on the captain. So I thank you, DP, for sitting in with that. But WWE talk, I don't know exactly where Adam was planning on going. I know you guys have some historical arguments in talks as of recent, but I do want to ask you about something that is going on in wrestling that is very interesting, because it's going to be hard for some people to see it to be sustainable. And the one thing about wrestling is there's always the next show. So even NWO, everything kind of runs its course at some point. But I want to ask you about the Wyatt Six, which is, of course, a tribute to the late, great Bray Wyatt, his brother Bo Dallas, kind of bringing it back. And they're not hiding whatsoever that it is a tribute to Bray Wyatt. A lot of his Firefly Funhouse characters kind of involved. They've grabbed some lesser known wrestlers, I suppose, to get new gimmicks in here. And the Wyatt Six is like this horror film type of thing that is going on in WWE. And there's been good out of that in the past. There's been, some cheesy stuff coming out of that in the past. And in order to properly show appreciation to Bray Wyatt, who's one of the best, I would say, since, the Kane and Undertakers, at crossing that line into, kind of mythological powers type of deal as far as a wrestler. How is Wyatt Six coming off to you so far?
Not
as good.
Well, WWE is really good about paying tribute to lost soldiers, and you want that to happen. That's kind of what it is, and I'm glad that they've done it. But I don't know at what expense are you doing it, because it's a showstopper, and not in the good way. It's a showstopper.
Yeah.
I mean, so you have to ask the question: who is the live show for? Are you doing that for television first, or the live audience who paid extra money to be there live to experience this thing? Because if you're doing the live the recorded vignettes, it takes away from the live crowd. The crowd they sit on their hands. Now, the card last night wasn't exactly the card either, right? So if you paid Monday Night Raw money to see Strowman, you did the ladder match qualifier.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Strowman, Chad Gable, Bronson Reed. You really?
Yeah. I mean, the main event started kind of getting weak there at the end.
Yeah. Lyra, Kairi Sane, and Shane Baszler. Are any of those your top 8 wrestlers? Women wrestlers? No. Braun Breaker versus Ludwig. That's Monday? That's your national TV match?
Hey. I like Ludwig.
Kofi versus.
but I get your point.
Kofi versus Karrion Kross.
Yeah.
Do we?
That's a rough one,
right? Caden Carter, Chance, and then Isla Dawn and Alba Fire in the tag teams. Okay. And then you stop whatever momentum you're building from the matches with the tributes, which okay, but it didn't connect. It didn't land, and. Again, if Drew McIntyre is the story, he and CM Punk, then the champion isn't the story. Is Dom and Liv the story? Or is it not the story? Your champions have to be stories. What was your Intercontinental Champion doing? So I don't know. It didn't land for me. Doesn't mean that I'm not telling anybody else that it wasn't good. I don't know what the plan is. There's no real playbook.
Yeah, we'll see. And they've if you remember a couple years ago, what was the group that Ali led, Retribution? They did kind of a similar WWE takeover, and that was awful. I mean, it was just never it took over several Monday Night Raws.
It really was.
And
bad.
it was like they're taking over WD, not even Triple H is safe and all that sort of thing. And it just never landed well. All those guys, including I think Slapjack was one of their names, just got buried. And I haven't, rarely get any time on WWE anymore. So we do have Adam Carriker joining us down. Adam Carriker on the ticket after some technological problems. Adam, welcome you into some WWE talk, and we'll let you get to the talk that you wanted to. But I did also just ask DP, and I want to kind of get your thoughts real quick on the debut of the Wyatt Six, this new kind of horror film tribute to Bray Wyatt type of deal that's going on. Are you into the Wyatt Six at all?
So a couple of things. First of all, I've got beef with DP because this is the second time in a row I've had technological issues, and it's only when he's on the show. We haven't recorded for 2 weeks, no issues.
Right.
And last time DP cut me off, didn't want to hear what I had to say apparently, couldn't handle my mic skills, and then he won't let me come on the show today. Well, DP, what's the beef, man? What do we got going on here?
That's so funny. That is so funny. I'm sending the gremlins over to work. The minions are hard at work on the Carriker Wi-Fi.
All right, so okay. Admittedly, I had the cord plugged into the wrong outlet, and it took me a few minutes to figure that out. So that's my fault. But it's much easier to blame someone else.
Right.
The Wyatt Six.
Honestly,
I'll be honest with you, dude. I have unplugged so much this summer with the move back to Lincoln. This isn't going to be great, but it's the truth. I didn't even know Nebraska got a new quarterback until about 2 days ago. And that happened like 5 days ago. Yeah. So the Wyatt Six, I've seen the highlights and whatnot. I have not actually watched Raw in a couple of weeks. I have not even watched the full highlights. So I cannot offer thoughts other than it's about freaking time. I've been looking forward to it. I know who's in the Wyatt Six because I'm a big fan of all those folks. Okay. And I'm glad Bo Dallas is getting another shot as Uncle Howdy. I mean, he was Uncle Howdy before, but getting another shot to make a run and things of that nature. Beyond that, I can't really speak to it yet at this point.
That's fair because busyness tends to kind of draw us out. And the things that I give time to have to really land. Like if it's not good, I'm not. As a matter of fact, Adam, I had to make the decision last night of how to. Like I'm a 3 optics person now.
Mm-hmm.
So on the laptop, on the big screen, and then on the terminal, and choosing College World Series, Stanley Cup Finals, Game 7, and then Monday Night Raw. Well, that got the smallest screen, and there were times where I really didn't pay attention because of that. So, yeah, it makes sense, bro. We make decisions based on priority, and sometimes if it's not what we want or need for it to be, it loses out.
I'm going to plug back in 1,000% come August. I did come ready. If you're good with this, DP, you're the face that runs the place. I just love saying that. It's so much fun to say. Okay, it's got the double meaning with you and then John Cena. I just love that. Right. But if you want to finish our conversation of the greatest talkers of all time, we could continue that. So a quick recap for those who mixed it 2 weeks ago before DP cut me off and wouldn't let me talk anymore. CM Punk at 16. We started at 16 because it was CM Punk. Otherwise, we were going to do top 15. 15 was Arn Anderson. 14 was a guy who may be the most underrated talker of all time. That's superstar Billy Graham. I actually have him in my top 10, which we'll go through at some point here. Hopefully this show. Mr. McMahon, 13. John Cena, 12. I do think he is low on this list. Jake the Snake Roberts, one of my favorites as a kid, was number 11. 10 was Chris Jericho. This is obviously pre-AEW list, and we talked about this being a few years ago because they would have absolutely punished him for going to AEW because this is a WWE list. But number 9, okay, the most recognizable face in pro wrestling history across the globe, Hulk Hogan. What are your thoughts, Jake, DP, on Hulk Hogan being at number 9 and the greatest talkers of all time list for pro wrestlers?
Probably the most mimicked, right along with Flair's Woo.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the 2 most wrestling things ever said. Was anything said, you can, the iconic level is based on that you can say a thing and it's immediately tied to him in his space.
Mm-hmm.
And if you ever said to anybody, let me tell you something, brother, everybody knows. Everybody knows what you meant. Everybody knows where it came from, and everybody buys in. And I think that's at 9. I don't think he gave some great promos. I do, as I sit here and say that, probably top 5 in promos because he had to. He had to. Wrestling doesn't exist now as it does without Hogan carrying promos the way he did for that long run. I mean, we're talking about 20 years of promos. There's some stellar ones in there. Performance in the ring, be damned. When it came to him getting the crowd hyped, he was as good as there was.
So for me, Hogan's an interesting one because I do, and other people are going to throw out Taker and Flair, and Austin's probably going to be the biggest one. I think Hogan's the greatest pro wrestler of all time. You want to talk about actual wrestling, go watch his Japan days. You want to talk about actual wrestling, I don't know why you're watching pro wrestling, because pro wrestling is something different. Who put butts in seats? Who gets people to buy pay-per-views? Or what are they called now? Live events. Yeah, premium live events. To me, that's what a pro wrestler is. And so for me, I think he's the greatest of all time. He did it longer. He had a successful heel turn. Those are my arguments against Austin, who in my mind is number 2, and obviously was the hottest wrestler of all time during his peak, even hotter than Hogan. McMahon has even said so. But I don't have Hogan as a top 10 promo. I don't have him as a top 10 in-ring wrestler if we're going to go down that road. So I've asked myself, Adam, how can you have him number 1, but he's not even top 10 in these certain things? So for me, he's number 1 when it comes to psychology. Psychology, that match with The Rock is just a perfect example at WrestleMania 18, but just watch him. His psychology, I can't remember anyone better. When you talk about charisma, the 2 guys that stand out to me the most when it comes to charisma are Hogan and Rock. Those are the 2 that stand out the most. Other guys obviously had it out the gills. If we were to do a top 10 charisma list, I think having Hogan 9 is fine. I actually would probably switch him and Cena, maybe, because Cena was at 12. But I think Hogan brought so many other things to the table. He didn't have to be creative in his promos. He didn't have to do, like, Rock is more creative. Austin, the iconic lines, he had iconic lines. So did Hogan. His what chant could be the worst thing to ever happen to wrestling, honestly. If I'm being honest with you, he tormented so many wrestlers over the years. With Hogan at 9, I'm fine with it. To me, he's around that 10, but I've wrestled with it myself. If he's the greatest of all time, Adam, why don't you have him higher on the list of certain things? Because I think his charisma and his psychology, those are the greatest of all time, plus his physique and look and the timing. He was the perfect guy for that cartoon era, if you will, kind of like Austin was the perfect guy with the perfect heel for McMahon during the anti-hero era, if that kind of all makes sense to you guys.
Well, I mean, I think Rocky certainly plays into it, right? Thunderlips.
Yep.
In the flesh, baby. It perfect timing with the Rocky craze, then the push for rock and wrestling, his connection and dance with Cyndi Lauper to make that work, for him to elevate Wendy Richter, to do that sort of thing. And then the transition, because he was the quick transition in pro wrestling's nationalism, because they needed for him to take the title from the Iron Sheik as he spit on American flags and did that whole thing. Like, it was perfect timing. I think the real issue with Hogan is not in the charisma. It's that he was a WWE guy, which was a very finite box for on the mic skills. You never got to hear the son of a plumber story of Dusty Rhodes. Like, you never got to hear Hogan give you a hard times promo. Like that wasn't Hogan. Dusty told stories. Hogan delivered a promo, but other wrestlers told stories on the mic. Yes. And that's why he's 9 through 12 rather than 1 through 5.
I agree with that. And the other story that sticks out to me, and maybe you guys have heard this, when they first started doing the NWO, right after Hogan turned heel, 96 Bash at the Beach, he was revealed as the 3rd guy. They went, I think, down to Florida and recorded a bunch of NWO promos, and Nash hated them. he pulled the guy aside and he said, this isn't going to work. This isn't old school wrestling. And the guy said, let me handle it. And that's when you got the black and white and you got the fuzzy picture and you got the cut ups. And to me, it was almost like Hogan had a hard time adapting to something different. That's why he was great as a heel, but the heel promo, he needed a little bit more help with it than maybe Nash or Hall did. Anyways, those are just my thoughts. All right, number 8, Bobby the Brain Heenan. There was no more man that I hated more during my childhood when I was 7 to 10 years old than Bobby the Brain Heenan. What are your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, I think so. I say take managers and analysts off the list for what this is. For what this is. That if you're talking wrestlers who are able to sell themselves in the business, and we forget that, I mean, Bobby was a wrestler back in the day. So before that, analysts, like, I want to put him, he's behind Vince, he's behind Gorilla Monsoon. Like, as announcers, like he's behind JR, he's behind Gordon Soley. I don't know that his place in this, is he a talker? Yes. But that's kind of his job. And like, I kind of don't want to put him in this conversation because it's just a different conversation.
The Brain was great. Like I said, I hated him as a kid before I kind of grew up a little bit and realized what was going on. But the line that sticks out to me is when Hogan's coming down at Bash at the Beach and he goes, what side is he on? I remember that as a kid being like, why is he asking that? And that kind of raised the doubt in my mind. Like, what? Why would he even ask that? Obviously, he did a lot of great things in his career. And Eric Bischoff has talked about none of the announcers knew. So that was very real from Heenan. He was not fed that line, but it almost kind of gave it away just a little bit, in my opinion. I'm kind of with you. Maybe not 8, maybe a little bit lower, but he was such a great heel. All right, man. This is a guy that number 7 on this list is, some people might have 2 or 3. Most people would have top 10. You want to talk about unique. You want to talk about just his own style of promo. Mick Foley / Mankind Dude Love is number 7. What do you think?
Yeah, I am currently in such a moment with Mick Foley appreciation. Of course, last night, Sunday night, they run the rivalries, and they went back and ran the Undertaker versus Mankind. And it jolted me again. I don't know why it landed so much differently this time. That one, what Mick Foley did in this space, again, he was the mic person against Taker. Taker wasn't the mic guy. What he did to build that up is telling some of the great stories of pro wrestling. And that Hell in a Cell match has to be the greatest wrestling match to ever exist. It has to be number 1. And Foley carrying it through, forget about the performance, because the performance, that's the greatest wrestling performance to ever exist. Mick Foley in Hell in a Cell against Mankind is the greatest one night any wrestler has ever had in a ring or in a cage. But his ability to transform a mic, and then he think about it, he had 4 different personalities that could all be in the top 20. He could, listen, Dude Love could be, if he ran with that the whole time, Dude Love could be top 5. And him just saying, right here in Lincoln, Nebraska, making it. And then, oh, by the way, have a nice day. Mick Foley is a genius. He's a genius on the microphone. And so, yeah, I need to move him up because I'm in full appreciation for Mick Foley for what he's done in pro wrestling for fans. He really should be probably 1A or 1B for fan favorites, because Mick Foley just did everything at every expense for every wrestling fan.
I forgot about Cactus Jack. You said 4, and I'm like, I said 3. Who'd I leave out? I forgot about Cactus Jack. How could I forget about Cactus Jack?
Bang, bang. Like,
I know, right?
Come on. Like, if you're willing to lose 2 front teeth.
Yep.
Dude, I'll root for you. Yeah, you're as good as you say you are.
My favorite inundation of Mick Foley or character or whatever words you want to use was Mankind. That was always my favorite. Yeah. And I'll never forget JR talking about he wanted to hire him. Vince McMahon didn't want him. And Vince McMahon basically said, we're going to hire him so you can know what it's like to hire somebody and watch them fail. That's what Vince McMahon's opinion of him was, coming from WCW to WWF at the time. And then he exceeded anybody's expectations, even JR's. My favorite inundation was Mankind and those just tortured soul promos.
So good.
That
He'd pull his hair out and
dude,
like he was just there. And the fact that Monday Night Wars doesn't happen without Mick Foley.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like the whole pitch and sell, that the nerve of the WWE to give the title to the guy who was a jobber and you just say, and they thought it was like a win, like they're terrible. You went, wait a minute, you had that guy and couldn't turn him into what he's become. They got it right, you got it wrong.
That was the turning point of the Monday Night Wars. WCW never won a ratings war again, and to this day, we'll have to do a loudest pop entrances at some point. That may be the loudest pop for an entrance when Stone Cold came out I've ever heard. My son is not into wrestling, but he has watched that a couple of times, and even he gets like goosebumps whenever I show him that clip of Stone Cold coming out and blindly hitting the Rock with the chair, and then Mick Foley, Mankind, whoever he was at that point in time, getting the cover. All right, we got to take a break. Ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're going to dive into the top 6 talkers in the history of pro wrestling. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
By now, most of you know how important the Honda of Lincoln sales and service team are to the Lincoln market. Hello, Charlie Stone here, and joining me is Andy Goodyear from Honda of Lincoln to tell you about the great news they just received. Andy, please tell us all about it.
Each year, the Lincoln Journal-Star has an award program called the Lincoln Choice Award, where the customers in Lincoln get to choose the best places to do business. Great pleasure, I get to announce that Honda of Lincoln has won the award for buying new cars, used cars, automotive repair, and even oil changes.
That is amazing, Andy. Any more good news?
Yes, there is, Charlie. We now have more than 100 new Hondas in stock, with hundreds on the way, and a huge selection of all makes and models on our pre-owned lot.
Incredible. Maybe it's time you come experience the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business. 27th and Yankee Hill Road, or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
Problem gambling is not just a financial issue. It's an emotional problem with financial consequences. If your loved one is struggling with addiction, contact Choices Treatment Center's 24-hour helpline at 402-476-2300. That's 402-476-2300.
Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits is your place in North Lincoln to go for all your needs in wine, spirits, and beer. They also have a large variety of cigars in their walk-in humidor, and they have a top-notch walk-in, temperature-controlled, high-end wine bar. Plus, you can enjoy free samples from their tasting book. There's only one place to go for all your needs for wine, beer, spirits, and cigars. Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits on North 27th Street in Lincoln.
This is area race announcer James Rowland. Join me and Bree Fansteel every Sunday night from 7 to 8 on 93.7 The Ticket for The Finish Line, where we cover all things motorsports from local racing to racing around the world. Every Sunday night from 7 to 8 on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
A team succeeds when they work together. Banking's no different. At UBT, we're in your corner for every financial move you want to make. Your money's backed by a roster of experts who put in the work to know you and your community. So whether you're opening a savings account, buying a home, or planning your future, you always know who to turn to. Working together toward your financial goals. That's a win in our playbook. Union Bank and Trust. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
At Doane University, we build leaders. And that means your success and achievements come first.
At Doane University, your future is uniquely yours. And our world-class liberal arts education is just the beginning.
We invite you to schedule your campus visit and experience why Doane University will start you on your journey to your future career.
Learn more by scheduling your personal campus visit today at doane.edu/visit. See you soon.
With the Planet Fitness Black Card, you don't just get a great workout, you get a great perk out because your membership is packed with perks. For $1 down and $24.99 a month, you'll get perks like access to any of our 2,400 clean and spacious locations. Bring a friend anytime and both work out with tons of equipment that'll give you that big fitness energy. Relax in the Black Card spa and more. Work out and perk out with the PF Black Card. Join for just $1 down and $24.99 a month.
Hurry, deal ends June 14th. Join now, online or at your local PF Club.
See Home Club for details.
If you're a homeowner or a business owner, you have a lot of projects, and no one has an unlimited budget or time. Sunbelt Rentals makes all jobs less stressful with no need to purchase large equipment or hire a crew. You can do it yourself with rentals and everything from aerators and power rakes for spring yard work to stump grinders, concrete mixers, tile saws, and more. Check out their inventory in Lincoln, north of Cornhusker Highway on 56th Street, or online at sunbeltrentals.com.
The weather is hot, the kids are out of school, and you're on your way to the lake and summer road trips. Are you getting to your vacation spot comfortably, or is your car letting you down? Mullen Motors Lot is full of great vehicles to take home, so you don't have to worry about your current car barely surviving another road trip. Come check out their lot just north of 48th and Layton and find your next ride for summer road trips and beyond. Mullen Motors.
No tag-ons, just quality vehicles. Mullen Motors.
Where will your path take you, traveler? To seek fortune in a new career? Or on a journey to distant lands for a well-deserved vacation? Wherever you go, one distraction could spell disaster. You can change your fate, adventurer. Don't drive distracted. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Spring sports are here and it's time to upgrade your equipment. But don't go rushing to your big box store. Play It Again Sports is your place to go for all spring sports equipment for baseball, softball, golf, and disc golf. Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And don't forget, buying from them is a great way to get new products with great discounts by also bringing in your used items for store credit or cash on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Infrastructure, a veteran-owned local company proudly serving Lincoln, Lancaster County, and the surrounding areas. Bauer provides quality work at an affordable price, and they're growing rapidly. If you want to experience a career with a fast-paced, family-friendly environment, visit BauerInfrastructure.com. They have top-of-the-line benefits, year-round work, even through the winter. Bauer, usher in the new era of infrastructure to an area near you. And as always, go Big Red.
The Nebraska Lottery presents 5 reasons the dollar bill is so great. First, it's always there when you need it. You can always find one folded up in your pocket just waiting to get you out of a jam. Second, it's humble. It doesn't strut around like a 50 or 100 waiting for people to compliment it. Third, it works hard. Whether you need more money for a tip or extra detergent at the laundromat, a dollar bill sure comes in handy. Fourth, it beats lugging around 100 pennies. And fifth, you can use it to buy a Lotto America ticket from the Nebraska Lottery. Lotto America only costs $1. It has a $2 million starting jackpot with drawings every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. And you can add the All-Star bonus for an additional $1 to multiply any prize won. So visit a Nebraska Lottery retailer today and buy a Lotto America ticket. Ooh, sounds like someone tried to pay with 100 pennies. So sad.
Lotto America top prize odds, 1 in 26 million.
You're listening to Adam Carriker on The Ticket on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Adam Carriker on The Ticket. Really quick, before we dive back in to our greatest talkers in the history of pro wrestling list, we're about to get to the top 6 per this list that we've been analyzing. And then DP will give his top 10. I'll give my top 10 when we're done breaking down and analyzing this list. But real quick, I want to give a shout out to Bonzel Pool and Spa. Thanks to them, I have a gigantic hole in my backyard. Hopefully they fill it up with water soon, and it's going to be a phenomenal pool. Check them out at bonzelpool.com. My kids are excited. They're elated. The only person more excited than my kids, honestly, to have a pool is me. I'm the biggest kid in the house, and I'm happy to admit that. But if you're looking for a swimming pool, hot tub, and/or sauna, check them out at bonzelpool.com. If you have a swimming pool, hot tub, sauna, etc., and you want it taken care of, they are the people for you. Check them out at bonzelpool.com. All right, DP. So I don't know if you want to disqualify the next person on the list because he's not technically a wrestler, but number 6 on this list is Paul Heyman. What are your thoughts on Paul as a whole and Paul at 6 on this list?
Off the list, again, I think it's its own list. I think the managers really deserve their own list. And I don't know that he's the top manager on the mic. So, yeah, I mean, I think I get it. Like if like you don't have to wrestle, yeah, he's in the conversation with Cornette because Cornette would actually get in the ring. I mean, the dude left body parts all over the South, having to talk so good that he got put into matches and got beat up. So, and that hasn't been a Heyman thing. So, yeah, I think the wrestlers deserve their own space.
So I would love to see a manager's only type list or an announcer's only type list. And it's funny, right when you said Cornette, I was going to ask you, what do you think would happen if you could get Cornette and Paul Heyman in the same ring to cut a promo battle on each other? Dude, that would be phenomenal, especially if Cornette could just cut loose and not have to worry about the censors for TV and all that. Dude, that would be so much fun to watch.
Yeah, I'd be all in, and then have JR kind of moderate it. I'm good.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I brought this up last time, and then that's when we got disconnected. So I couldn't hear what you said. So right now we got Cody Rhodes, okay, and that whole he's going to be battling The Rock at we don't know when, probably SummerSlam or WrestleMania, probably. I mean, but I'd be curious. I would love to see because we got the potential bloodline battle down the road with The Rock, Roman, all that stuff going on. No offense to Roman. He does great, but I'd love to see The Rock and Heyman in the ring and have a battle of wits and words and promos between them. So I couldn't hear what you said a couple of weeks ago. What were your thoughts on that when I brought that up?
That would be the Chicago Bears versus the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl. The Rock would destroy him.
You think so?
Oh, look, it sounds good in theory. It sounds good in theory, but the Rock has just such a high swagger level. It took, like, CM Punk can't do the dance. Roman Reigns couldn't do the dance. Cody Rhodes couldn't do the dance. I don't think anybody. I mean, Cena's the only one. Cena and the dude who probably would sit at the top of the list, and Nature Boy. Those are the only ones that if you got in the conversation that they would really go after you. Hogan wouldn't go after Rock. I don't think there's anybody in the game other than the ones we mentioned. Those, like, it's kind of why we landed on who we in our heads who would be in the top 5. The folks who are living, yeah, Rock. Nobody gets the pop that Rock does walking out. Stone Cold was a great finisher to promos, but his actual promo work, no. So yeah, Heyman I like, and I meant to ask you this thing because somebody pitched it to me. I was doing a show in Atlanta and it was a wrestling show, and they said, "Would you buy a ticket if they brought back Goldust to say, what about my story? Would you watch Rhodes versus Rhodes?"
Did we get that in AEW early on?
But like on the stage that it should have been on, right? That if you want to turn Cody face or heel, bring Cody in. I mean, bring Dustin in and let him sell. And we know what kind of match it would be, but it hasn't been done on that stage.
I'll be honest with you. I probably would not. No disrespect to Goldust or Dustin Rhodes. I've never been a crazy fan of his. I think he's good. I've kind of mentioned in the past, Cody's done way better than I thought he would. Yep. And when he was in the ring with The Rock, I thought he held his own way better than I thought he would. Yeah. To his credit, I'm just not gigantic fans of either one of them. So if you put them in the ring together, I'm not uber interested personally. Just not me.
That is fair.
That's just how I kind of feel. I actually thought of this question a few years ago because Heyman was in the ring talking about Heyman versus Rock. And he said, nobody can touch me on this mic right here, right now. It was on a SmackDown like a couple, 3 years ago. It may have been when Sami Zayn was in doing the whole bloodline thing. So maybe a year and a half ago. I can't remember. And I remember thinking, no, nobody there right now. Who could come and give him a battle? And the person that popped in my head was The Rock. And so that's actually been a question that's been in the back of my mind for quite a while. Heyman versus Rock on the mic.
I'm with you.
All right. A man I know you love, number 5 on this list anyways, Dusty Rhodes. What are your thoughts?
Greatest promo ever. Hard Times. Greatest promo ever. That's where he, I mean, and here's the thing, that wasn't the one. There's one of him in WWE talking to Vince McMahon, talking about walking the streets of DC and walking into his people. Meeting his people.
Yep.
And then I've wined and dined with kings and queens. I've also wined and dined on pork and beans. Son of a plumber. Listen, everybody who does Mike Skill now owes Dusty a residual check because Dusty was elite. Elite. The elite storyteller of all of pro wrestling history. Nobody told a story. Nobody sold why the rivalry mattered, why he disliked, why he had to defend the American dream, why he has to explain that he's the son of a plumber. Why? Dusty told you why better than anybody in wrestling history.
So I'll give a sneak peek to my list. I have Dusty number 3 on my all-time talkers top 10 greatest list in pro wrestling history. That was a mouthful. I can't believe I got it out without stumbling. But I like people that are unique. I like people that are different. I like people that stand out in some way, shape, or form. That's why Hogan's the greatest wrestler, like pro wrestler of all time, to be clear. You got to keep pro in there. Pro wrestler of all time to me, but I barely have him in the top 10 with promos because it was kind of the same thing. It was kind of always repetitive. And yes, the iconic lines, like you knew 24-inch pythons, what you gonna do, Hulkamania run wild, all that stuff. And so those became iconic, but I like wit in the moment. I like unique stuff. I like stuff that's just different. And Dusty was unique, different. Nobody like him. Kind of like Mankind's promos. Nobody cut promos like them. So I'm with you. Loved what he did. All right, on this list, they got Stone Cold Steve Austin. I know you think Dusty's ahead of him, but they got Stone Cold number 4 on this list. What are your thoughts on Stone Cold's promos?
Yeah. I mean, Adam, you landed on it. That I can't get over what?
Mm-hmm.
I can't get over that he was a great he was the great promo finisher.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that the body of his promos were elite. I thought his finishing, his closing to promos was elite. Was he as good at selling as Shawn Michaels? No. Shawn Michaels told a better story, got you hyped or angry or whatever it was, whatever emotion Shawn Michaels wanted you to feel, you felt. Stone Cold was better as a heel, but his best promos were face. And there's the conflict. And what just killed the game for me? Like, it was like, oh, I have to do this now. I have to listen to this. I have to listen to this. It's not worth it. So yeah, I as a wrestler, he's in the conversation to be on the Mount Rushmore, but as a promo, no, this is way high.
I'm kind of with you. I think his delivery, the way he would deliver them, was the best part of his promos. The actual promos themselves, I thought they were good. They were fine. He did pretty well for himself. But as far as I think it was more about the delivery, as you kind of mentioned, the way he would finish them. The what chat was great for him. Getting the crowd involved. He would find that rhythm. He'd say stuff. They'd say what he keeps saying. I actually thought that was very good. The problem is it's stuck around and it's tortured wrestlers for years. Stephanie McMahon had the best. Oh, this was when they were actually doing like the CM Punk chant years ago. And then they went into a what chant. And she goes, if you're an inbred, say what? And they all said what? And then they all were like, crap. Like they heard what she said. And then the crowd went quiet.
Right.
I'm like, why is this so hard to deal with? But anyways, I digress. Topic for another day.
I love
All
it.
right. All right. Number 3, Rowdy Piper. Thoughts?
So again, the psychology behind it, I'm just not sure that people did it better than Roddy Piper. Roddy in the bodybuilder era, he made it through the tough guy era, he made it through.
Yes.
Through the cerebral era, he made it through the big man era, he made it through, all because he told you why the average looking guy would beat you up. And he stuck to beating you up as being the thing. Except mentally, when they called Triple H the cerebral assassin, no, that should have belonged to the one and only Roderick Toombs, because he was the one. And it's one of my favorite phrases in life, but it came from Hot Rod at a moment where he literally went off script, went off the book, and said, just when they think they have all the answers, I changed the question, which is the most prophetic, game-changing thing that a wrestler has ever said. Just when you think you understand everything, I'm changing the game. Bravo, Roddy. Bravo.
I think you made a great point. He was able to get over, stand out, and be one of the top guys through all those eras. And very few of those. Imagine what he would do now, where, you know, people view how wrestlers look much differently. Back then, what you looked was like 85% of the game most of the time. And then mic work and then in-ring work was probably last at that point. And he was able to be a top guy, probably the top heel at that point. I think maybe Cody Rhodes said it best. I got a quote here. Piper was just chaos, but he was controlled chaos. It wasn't just chaos for chaos's sake. There was a point. You went on the same ride. You did in a match as you did in his promos. Chaos with a reason. End quote. I think that's the best way to explain Rowdy Piper's promos and why he was so good at them.
Yep. He really was elite.
All right. So on this list, we got 2 left. They have The Rock at number 2. What are your thoughts?
So you're not going to be wrong in the space that you're in, putting Rock on the Mount Rushmore of people on the mic in pro wrestling. Again, great storyteller. He can tell the same level of story, face or heel. He can tell you in short form. He can go in character form. He can go philosophy. He can go brawler. He can go fighter. He can go athlete. Not many people could do that. Not many people had the rhythm that The Rock had, to talk in third person, to mimic other wrestlers in his promo and make that wrestler be about The Rock. Right? Like it's so good that, and then he made everybody else's promo better, because you knew if you got in the ring with microphones and The Rock, you had to elevate. Like, you couldn't come out there and tiptoe. Booker T said, like, the moment his career changed was when The Rock goes, "Who are you?"
Yep.
And he said, "I now have to have an answer to that question all the time, because anybody I fight is going to ask that question." So Rock's on the Mount Rushmore.
So, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Sting stayed away from WWE because of that very promo. He said he watched The Rock basically destroy Booker T and everything he'd worked for in WCW by asking that single question. And Sting said, "I'm staying away for decades," or however long it was after that.
Right.
The Rock is the most versatile promo in history. Heel, face. He's got the catchphrases. He can come up with something on the spot. He can rattle off. I mean, he's got the whole song thing. He can rattle off lines. He can rattle off, I don't want to call it a poem, but like this whole soliloquy that sounds so great, and he doesn't mess up. To me, he's the greatest promo of all time because of his versatility, because of the different things he could do. The only thing that ever gave me cause to pause, I'm kind of giving away my own list here, was the fact that John Cena destroyed him. But I'm giving The Rock a break on that because I think he was so distracted, came unprepared, and frankly underestimated John Cena. And that's the only reason I'm giving him a break on that. But I think The Rock is the most versatile promo, the most electrifying man. You want to talk about charisma. You want to talk about the ability to do so many things all in one person. And what kind of gives me, a little bit easier time forgiving him for losing to John Cena so bad on the mic when they had their wars was his work as Final Boss. This may be my favorite stuff he's ever done. The ability to reinvent himself into the Final Boss is maybe my favorite work he's ever done. And he's my favorite guy on the mic. For me, it's an easy number one, which is kind of crazy to say because 1 through 4 is basically all interchangeable. But The Rock is, as you probably know, one of my 2 favorite wrestlers of all time, but the greatest on the mic, in my opinion. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about the number 1 wrestler on this list. I mean, if you're a pro wrestling fan, it's maybe obvious at this point, but DP and I are going to give our top 10 lists as well. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits is your place in North Lincoln to go for all your needs in wine, spirits, and beer. They also have a large variety of cigars in their walk-in humidor, and they have a top-notch walk-in, temperature-controlled, high-end wine bar. Plus, you can enjoy free samples from their tasting bar. There's only one place to go for all your needs for wine, beer, spirits, and cigars. Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits on North 27th Street in Lincoln.
Spring Sports are here and it's time to upgrade your equipment. But don't go rush into your big box store. Play It Again Sports is your place to go for all spring sports equipment for baseball, softball, golf, and disc golf. Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And don't forget, buying from them is a great way to get new products with great discounts by also bringing in your used items for store credit or cash on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
You already know that Select Plumbing takes care of all your plumbing needs, including water heaters, faucet repairs, leaks, drips, sump pumps, and more. Now, they're able to help you with your heating and air conditioning as well. Select Plumbing has recently expanded into residential heating and air, and they're excited to bring this new service to their complete list of plumbing services. Call to book an appointment today at 402-560-6197 or go to selectplumbinginc.com. Serving Lincoln, Seward, Milford, and the surrounding areas.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Infrastructure, a veteran-owned local company proudly serving Lincoln, Lancaster County, and the surrounding areas. Bauer provides quality work at an affordable price, and they're growing rapidly. If you want to experience a career with a fast-paced, family-friendly environment, visit BauerInfrastructure.com. They have top-of-the-line benefits, year-round work, even usher in the new era of infrastructure to an area near you. And as always, go Big Red!
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Copple Chevrolet GMC, and right now they are offering huge, and I mean huge discounts at Copple. Get over $9,000 off list price or 1.9% financing on select Sierras or Silverados. Plus, Costco members receive another $1,000 off. Yes, that's happening right now in Louisville. $9,000 off list price or 1.9% financing. You pick what works for you. Costco members, please contact us at the store or at copplecars.com. All deals with approved credit must trade and finance.
At Doane University, we build leaders, and that means your success and achievements come first.
At Doane University, your future is uniquely yours, and our world-class liberal arts education is just the beginning.
We invite you to schedule your campus visit and experience why Doane University will start you on your journey to your future career.
Learn more by scheduling your personal campus visit today at doane.edu/visit. See you soon.
Plains Cover Crop is your one-stop seed shop. Call us now for spring and summer forages, CRP mixes, and fall cover crop blends. We do farm-specific consulting for practical and efficient seed blends to fit your geography and goals. With a very diverse inventory, we will tailor a blend just for you. We're also looking for contract growers, and we buy and sell rye. Find us online at plainscovercrop.com. Timeless agronomy practices paired with modern technology. East Highway 20 in Orchard and across Nebraska.
Do you need motivation to get to the gym on the weekend or even in general? Tune into the Movement Hour each Saturday from 10 to 11 a.m. Movement Academy owner Robert Kuhlman will host the show as he introduces new ways to stay in shape. The Movement Hour every Saturday morning from 10 to 11 a.m. on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Problem gambling is not just a financial issue. It's an emotional problem with financial consequences. If your loved one is struggling with addiction, contact Choices Treatment Center's 24-hour helpline at 402-476-2300. That's 402-476-2300.
Sandhills Global is hiring. With their fast-paced, growing culture, they have hundreds of new openings in sales, marketing, traveling support, software development, web design, and more. Full-time roles offer a 4.5-day work week, along with flexible internships in most areas. Career and internship opportunities are available at our global headquarters in Lincoln, Nebraska. Find your fit today at www.sandhills.jobs.
This is Coach Bill Bush. You all know my passion for Nebraska. Having coached all over the country, I can honestly say there is no place like Nebraska. You know where there's also no place like? Midwest Bank. Midwest Bank has proudly served Nebraska for over 70 years, and they're located in 9 different communities. Midwest Bank is ready, willing, and able to meet all your personal, business, and agriculture needs. Your community, your bank, and mine, Midwest Bank. Find out more at Midwest Bank. Member FDIC.
For over 15 years, Integrated Life Choices has empowered individuals with disabilities in Lincoln and throughout Nebraska. They provide comprehensive services from group homes and independent living services to job training, ensuring fulfilling lives for those that they serve. Now, they're inviting you to join their mission. If you're passionate about making a difference in the lives of people with developmental disabilities, explore rewarding career opportunities with them. Learn more about their services and apply today at www.ilc.net. Be a part of Integrated Life Choices, where your work truly changes lives.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. You're listening to Adam Carriker on The Ticket on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Boom. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Adam Carriker on The Ticket. All right, one of us had a problem getting on the show technologically today. DP was just blocking me, wouldn't let me come on. So we got to keep this last segment short. All right, number 1 on the list, Ric Flair. Thoughts, DP?
Yes. Yes. Made promo work matter. Excelled at it, innovated, and then rebranded it, recreated it. Never the same story. Always made it personal. Always connected with, talked to the audience. Always made the whoever the interviewee seem a part of it. And then he's the greatest finisher of promos ever. No matter what utility belt item he had 20 finishing quotes, used them all perfectly, never overstepped his boundary. Always Ric Flair.
For me, I've kind of said, to me, there's 4 top promos in history, and we've kind of talked about them a little bit. I'll give my top 10 list. You'll obviously see who my top 4 is. To me, they're kind of all interchangeable. Ric Flair, anywhere 1 through 4. If you got him number 1, I got no complaints. The guy did it a long time. The guy did it great. The guy was unique. The guy was versatile. Like you said, he could change. He could adapt. He could in-ring adapt. He could come prepared. He was doing a lot of stuff before anybody ever thought about doing it on the microphone, and he was unique. For me, I love unique, and he was very, very unique. Hard to argue with this. All right, DP, are you ready with a top 10 list of your own?
I'll do as best as I can. How's that?
No, that works. I can start it off if that helps.
Okay.
All right. So for me, we talked about it being the most underrated promo of all time, mostly because a lot of folks just haven't seen his work. But you want to talk about someone who was doing things on the mic before anybody else was doing them the way he was doing them, and that's superstar Billy Graham. I've got him at number 10. I'll go my 10 through 6. Okay. At number 9, I got Mick Foley. My favorite inundation was Mankind. Okay. And he did. He was the one that kind of built up that feud, that Hell in a Cell match with Undertaker on the mic. And then obviously you had the match itself. At number 8, I've got Vince McMahon. He was just so good at being such a jerk, played the boss role that everybody hated so well. I don't know personally, but I don't think he had to try that hard. That's just my suspicion. But he did it so well, and it was perfectly timed, and he had the perfect foe in Stone Cold Steve Austin, and he was Stone Cold Steve Austin's perfect foe. I've got him at number 8. I do have a manager on this list. I came up with this list before we decided managers need their own list, but I've got Paul Heyman, okay, here at number 7. Okay, number 6, I have Stone Cold at number 6. When you have one of the two most, in my opinion, one of the two most single iconic promos of all time, you got to be in the top 10 somewhere. To me, it's the pipe bomb with CM Punk, and then the other one is Austin 3:16 with Stone Cold at King of the Ring. So there's my 10 through 6. Who do you have at DP? At
10, we haven't talked about him in full, but Terry Funk.
Yes, there you go.
The phrase "egg sucking dog" resonates at such a high frequency with me that I have to add him in the space. Superstar Billy Graham at 9. I had Stone Cold at 8 in that space because I thought that's kind of a nice place for him. At 7, Jake the Snake Roberts and his psychology, Mick Foley at 6 for me.
And neither one of us have Hogan in there. I talked about that earlier. It's just his strengths were so unique. But we talked about that earlier. All right, at number 5, and this is going to be received better now than it would have 10 years ago. But I've talked about the era that he was in, the job that he was given. He accepted it. He'd be getting booed out of the building. He'd get on the mic, and by the end, the crowd would be cheering him. And I still can't remember a promo battle with any single wrestler in history that he's ever lost head to head. So at number 5, I've got John Cena. Then you add in the Doctor of Thugonomics, which was obviously a very unique thing as well. I've got him at 5. Okay, at number 4, I've got Rowdy Piper. And to me, this 1 through 4 can be very interchangeable. At number 4, I've got Rowdy Piper. Number 3, I've got the son of a plumber, Dusty Rhodes. Number 2, I've got Ric Flair. And then I've got The Rock. And again, his versatility, heel, face, his wittiness in the moment. He could come prepared with a long promo. He could do the song. He had the catchphrases. And one of my favorite stories is when him and Triple H were having their main feud. Two guys who get along now better, but had legit hot blood, bad blood between each other competitively. Triple H would go off script in the ring, and he would just destroy The Rock. The Rock would come back through the curtain pissed. And I think it was Bruce Pritchard that told this story. He pulled The Rock aside. He said, "It's a live mic. If you can take the heat when you come back out here, there's nothing they can do while you're in the ring." And then he would come up with stuff in the moment to match Triple H. So I've got him number 1. What's your top 5, DP?
The honorable mention, I want to give Randy Savage his moment, and CM Punk. That both of them just don't make the list. No harm, no foul, but in the elite space. But I have the same 5 you have. And any order of that 5, I'd be good with. But what I would say is Dusty Rock and Flair they were a step above everybody else. They were just a step above. So whatever way you want to put them on the Mount Rushmore is fine, but those are my top 5.
So next Tuesday, I do want to talk a little bit more about the honorable mentions because I'm a big fan of Macho Man Randy Savage on the mic. I loved a lot of stuff he did, but I want to go through some of the other folks we didn't get to talk about, even a guy like Triple H. Okay. So there's a lot of people we can talk about. I actually want to talk about guys like Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart. And are they mostly Bret Hart, because he kind of gets bashed at times for his mic work. Is it fair or unfair, the amount of criticism he receives at times? We'll talk about that next week. I want to thank you for joining me, DP. All right. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We got the happy hour coming after this. We got a whole lineup of great shows coming up the rest of the day here on 93.7 The Ticket. Go Big Red. And always remember to throw the bones.
The Nebraska Lottery presents 5 reasons the dollar bill is so great. First, it's always there when you need it. You can always find one folded up in your pocket just waiting to get you out of a jam.